Well, guys, welcome back to Common Sense CEO. Thank you for being here. I'm very happy to bring back a former guest, Miss Angela Skudin, who is the CEO of the 343 Fund. Angela, welcome back.
Thank you, Jamie. It's lovely to be back with you.
And we have a guest with her today, District Chief Nate Morgans from Tulsa.
Yeah, good morning.
Morning. And so last time Angela was here, we had Brian with us too, and we'll touch on that a little bit. And we were very excited because it was about a week before Texas legislation ended, and we were hoping and praying that Texas would pass the ibogaine initiative. And we're happy to report that did happen, correct?
That did happen, yes.
Yes. And so because of such, I believe Texas as a state funded $50 million?
$50 million, which is to be matched, to my understanding.
Nice. By private donors, medical donors?
Okay, I'm unsure about those parts, but we could probably look that up. It's definitely public record. And there's a lot of other states that have since joined. Suit. Not a lot, but there's
I think
other
Arizona?
States. I'm going to have you guys.
We'll look that up. But
that a Google
the long
so
story short is what we spoke about in that episode, and we will send everyone back to reference it with Brian here, is we talked about ibogaine, which is a plant, which was very inappropriately labeled as a type 1 psychedelic, correct?
So it's a root bark.
Right.
And
okay.
And it comes from it's an alkaloid that comes from a root bark, and the root bark is called iboga.
Iboga.
Yes, and it was wrongfully listed as a Scheduled 1 substance, controlled substance, and it's been on that list. It got put on there during a political campaign.
Yeah, right. Yeah. Everything's political.
It is not an addictive substance, and it has great medical results. It seems to be an incredibly benevolent substance. They're unsure about all the things that it does do, but there is an important study on record from Dr. Nolan Williams at Stanford University that does show 30 out of 30 Special Forces veterans went and had a brain scan done. They all had TBIs, which were traumatic brain injuries, at least one. And all of them went down for one ibogaine treatment in Tijuana, Mexico at Ambio Life Sciences, and they came back and had another brain scan, and it showed that either the TBI had resolved or had almost completely resolved. So we're talking about a substance that can regrow matter in the brain.
Which is amazing because, I was actually just at an event last week with a brain scientist talking about, the brain, without a doubt, is the most mind-blowing, not, no pun intended, organ system, ecosystem on the planet. It's the hardest thing to study because it defies just about everything that we know. And so to have a substance that can heal it or regrow it, to your point, which ultimately what we found does heal certain things, I think any state should want to step up and help. So I'm very grateful to be living in a state who is kind of leading that charge. And on that episode, that was, the kind of the priority of our conversation was really talking about ibogaine, the background behind Brian's kind of story, leading that initiative, how Governor Perry stepped up with him to help here. And now Texas has passed that. So we're very excited about that.
I do want to mention too, Jamie, what's so wonderful about being an American and being in America. A lot of times I think we're really hard on our country right now.
For sure.
But one of the cool things is our state governments, is that we're able to get past the big umbrella of our federal government and the FDA, and we're able to fight state to state to help people. This is a nonpartisan issue. If you're not for this and you're not for humans having access to this, you're not for humanity at this point, from what we know. And I think it's so important that our state governments and that Texas, being the great state that it is and has led by such example, is fighting for our citizens. And we're saying to the federal government that, we demand access to these things that we know can change our lives. It not only changes traumatic brain injury people, but people like Nate here. I opened an organization, the Casey Skudin 343 Fund, after my husband, FDNY fighter Casey Skudin, died in June 2022. And since then, we've sent 170 first responders for access to this medicine and a supportive integration container, pre and post journey. And Nate from Tulsa, and he with the Tulsa Fire Department, is one of our responders who went through our program, and he has had great results with dealing with addiction issues, with alcoholism. He hasn't had a drink since his journey. And you were there when, Nate, November 2024?
Yes.
Yeah,
Wow.
so he'll be coming up next month on 1 year sober. So
Congrats.
Awesome. Yes, congratulations. And
Thanks.
just real quick before we get to Nate and his story, I think I don't want to pass up what you said, which is this is not a bipartisan issue. This is a humanitarian issue, right?
Yeah.
Like it does not matter what side of the aisle you are on. Every single one of us knows somebody affected by addiction. Most all of us probably know someone that has some sort of PTSD, brain injury. I have a very close friend, also been on the episode. Her son drowned and now has a TBI, and this is something that I know we are researching, pretty in depth for him. So this truly is something that could help save humanity. I know we had Brian in here, and he spoke about his wife's journey and how she's since not had to take her SSRIs from it.
We
right?
see that a lot of times, and not to downplay when SSRIs come in and save people's lives
Sure.
and get them stabilized and all of that. But there comes a point in time when people, and I'm one of those people, I say to myself, you know what? I don't want to numb myself out anymore. I
Right.
want to toe in.
Yeah,
And-
there are negative effects to them. Yes, they save people's lives, but
Yeah.
you start to feel or unfeel or not feel.
Or be ready to feel,
Right,
frankly.
that's right.
And that's, I think, what ibogaine is, and 5-MeO-DMT, and the combination of those two medicines are often done together. 5-MeO-DMT is a naturally occurring substance from the Sonoran desert toad. It's called bufo. That's in its natural form. Now they've been able to replicate it in a lab, and they think the theory is that it's the last thing that we make upon death. And what ends up happening is that we're able to then practice something that's very scary to us and that we know nothing about, and that is dying. And it seems to not only connect people with God.
Sure.
If people have no religious belief or faith, say an atheist, I've seen an atheist go through and come out the other side a believer. But it peels this layer off of them that allows things to not be so heavy. And what that results in is better sleep, just a calmer human, a better person. And then they don't need these substances so much to mask anymore, because they're ready to let go of the compartmentalized trauma, and they don't need the SSRIs. They don't need the alcohol. They don't need the kratom or the Adderall.
Sure.
So it's really been something that's been life-saving. I myself have suffered from suicidal ideations for the majority of my life. And I can honestly say that I wouldn't be here today without access to this medicine. So I'm super grateful for it. And my mission is to be able to get it to as many of our first responder communities and friends and families of first responders. Our friends and family program, if you go through as a first responder and you have a friend or a family member in need, you can refer them to our program.
Wow, that's great.
Yeah.
And again, friends and family, we all have someone close to us that's, suffering from it. Addiction's very close in my family. I've spoken about it many times. My father runs treatment centers. I'm blessed that he has been sober now for, 30 years without, having any sort of relapse. But growing up, there were relapses. I lived in a home where I saw those things. And so I know he's very interested, that community is very interested in what's going to come from the new studies. But what I love is that we have Nate here who can speak to us about it firsthand. So Nate, again, you went through it in November, so you're not even a year out. So you're pretty fresh. Not only, I know the 343 Fund has kind of a program where you stay connected to your group that you went with. Is that right?
Yes, ma'am. It's and that's critical.
Yes.
I think, to the overall success.
Well,
of the entire experience.
And that's true of any sort of treatment. That's the other thing that I think makes my father's treatment center a little different than most, is not only is it's not 30 days, it's 90 that you're actually, in treatment, but they do have a 1-year follow-up program, same thing. And the success for any sort of rehab, treatment, anything, it requires it, frankly. But let's go ahead and talk about your story, Nate. What made you wake up one day and say, this is something I'm interested in, this is something I need?
Oh, wow.
Or who said this is something you need to be interested in?
Another grant recipient actually called me.
Okay.
And I was on my little farm in North Okmulgee County, Oklahoma. And he just said, Nate, you gotta look into this. This is for you. A quick story of like how I got there. I probably, I drank in high school like a lot of folks do, and
ate Taco Cabana. That's right.
And
who didn't?
Taco Cabana.
And I joined the military right out of high school, and that's very much a part of that culture. And then I, at 21, got hired on the fire department. So alcohol is very much part of that culture. And I never really gave it too many thoughts about it. But I probably, and I've traced this back recently, I probably started really abusing alcohol and using it as a tool in 2004 when I came home from Afghanistan.
Like many do.
Yeah. And it's I can remember being told that, hey, you're drinking every day, you're off, and that's not normal, and it felt normal to me. And so for more than 20 years I struggled with alcohol pretty silently.
Would you say your time in Afghanistan gave you PTSD, like looking back now?
Oh, absolutely.
Right. And is that something when you get back they diagnose, or is it just have a drink and get over it?
It was, early enough in the global war on terrorism, it was a different set than there is now.
Sure.
I mean, we were joking about this last week about there were two lines. We were, basically demobilizing off federal duty, going back to being just normal citizens. And there were two lines. There was a line that if you feel like you're having issues, you need to be on this line. And then there's another line that if you're good, just go to this line. And it was a shorter line. And I just wanted to go home.
Right.
My first daughter, I missed her whole first year. She was born like a week or two before I left. And so I didn't know her. I wanted to get home. And we spent 12 months in Afghanistan back then. The tours were long. 2003 and 2004 was pretty early in that effort, and it was just a different set of circumstances that folks are seeing. And but I did. I started that maladaptive behavior of drinking, and you fast forward 20 years through that, you find yourself. I'd promoted to chief. I was fairly upwardly mobile on the fire department. I went and got a master's degree and finished the executive fire officer program for the National Fire Academy. I had every intentions of continuing to try to be the fire chief or something like that in Tulsa, and I just kind of imploded. My first wife and I started a divorce process, and it killed me. It turned my whole life upside down. I was not prepared for that. Everything I thought was true in life was no longer true. From being a good firefighter to being a good soldier to being a father and a husband. Everything was upside down, and I wasn't prepared. I didn't have any of the tools I needed to deal with that.
Sure.
So the only tool I had in my toolbox was alcohol, and I used it extensively. And got a DUI in Fayetteville, Arkansas.
That probably helpful that it was in a different state.
Not really. No, but honestly,
had its repercussions.
Absolutely, and ultimately got demoted on the fire department. I'm fast forwarding through a couple of the stories there, but there were two different alcohol-related incidents, and that's what took me to start the journey of sobriety in 2019, which was, as a lot of folks start their journey of sobriety, and it's not a one and done thing. No. It's not a super snap. I didn't go to treatment then, and you
tried to do it on your own.
I tried. I went to AA.
Okay.
But yeah, I was silly and tried to do everything on my own.
Right. Well, James is an anomaly here. James did do it on his own. He's almost 3 years sober, but
drank for 32 years.
Yeah.
But it took him how many times to quit?
I probably quit 1,000 times on Monday.
Yeah.
And the first
We've
time
all been there.
The first time I really tried to quit was 2021, January 2021. It lasted 4 months. And then the relapse was 2 years. And
That's
almost ended in suicide.
And divorce.
That was the first marriage. That was 2009, 2008.
Okay.
I mean, I did kind of quit and went to therapy during my ex-wife and I's divorcing, but it only lasted 2 months, and I was right back.
You know, it's so interesting when we talk about like how many times you quit on a Monday. But you said something to me recently about there's a difference and not, what was it?
Yeah, there's a huge difference between not drinking and sobriety. It's what I've learned.
Yeah,
and
that's right.
Ultimately,
there's a lot of sobriety that goes on in the mind.
It's all up there.
And I feel like, though, that the journey, the ibogaine journey and pre and post integration journey drives you, fast tracks you
to sobriety, not
sobriety,
just not drinking.
Yeah. Where you're like, I don't even want to choose this.
I don't want to say it's the cheat code because it's not, because there's a lot of work involved.
But it's the healing that's required to get over the hump.
And so for 2019 till 2024, I went to treatment twice.
Okay.
I went to.
And may I ask, just because I have a.
Sure.
Was it a 30-day? Was it a 60-day?
It was a 30-day. It's called the Center of Excellence. It's specifically for firefighters. It's where I met my friend Wade. We were in treatment together. He was a roommate there.
Okay.
That's a foreshadowing into the rest of the story. To be honest with you, so for 5 years I struggled as a chronic relapser. I would be not drinking. I would not be sober. I would be not drinking for periods of time, and then I would always had this this thought in my head of, I think I'm healthy. I think I beat it. I think I'm.
I can have a drink. And
I can go have a drink with my friends, and then I would start that again, and then pretty quickly I'd be in Mexico or somewhere like that.
Oh.
I would.
And not
for
ibogaine.
ibogaine.
Not for ibogaine.
Not for ibogaine.
Just the local bar.
Like all inclusive, or
and I'd remarried, and I'd done all the things you probably shouldn't do.
Did you meet her in treatment or
no,
AA?
no,
because that's really breaking the rules.
But I met her in my disease for sure.
Sure.
And that's and she was super caring, and I needed that at the time, and so I'm fast forwarding to that 5 years, but I did go to treatment network detoxes multiple different times, just trying to hold my stuff together and stay employed. I mean, it was just so exhausting.
And that was ultimately your goal, just stay employed at this point.
I just didn't want to die.
Right. Okay. So you were aware of how bad it was.
Oh, it was absolutely bad. I was, if not for what I've been through, and I'd be dead now. That's facts.
Were you at the Center of Excellence twice?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So then when you went back the second time, is that when you met Wade?
No, the first time I met Wade.
Oh, the first time. Okay.
Yeah.
So you said foreshadowing. It didn't work for Wade either.
Well, for Wade, and I hate to tell anybody else's story, but yeah, it didn't work for Wade either. But we stayed friends, and we're kind of accountability buddies for a lot of that stuff.
I love that word.
It's a great
accountability
word.
buddy.
It's my accountability buddy, man.
Yeah.
And so Wade's he's a firefighter somewhere else, and I had that connection with him. We're pretty fast friends. We're both fairly funny people, and so we would talk quite often. And in, I guess, the fall of 23 or 24, he called me, and he's like, "Man, I just did this thing. It's called the 343 Fund and Ambio," and I was just so confused. I was on my tractor, and I'm like, and I turned my tractor off. I remember specifically, he's like, "Stop ignoring me. I need you to go to this website right now." And I was like, "Okay, fine. Send it to me." So he's texted me the link, the 343, and I opened it up. I'm like, "Okay, yeah, Save the Savers. Okay, yeah, that's us. I need saving, for sure." And I was drinking that day, and he knew I was, and he'll tell you that himself. And I said, "All right, I'll look at it." And I went back to work. I was in that zone where I was, I was never drinking at work or anything like that, but I was just in that zone where you just felt horrible at work, and all that guilt and shame just kept building up, and like, why can't I shuck this?
Right.
I'm better than this. I've had a charmed life, and I've had had a really charmed life, and why, I feel like I'm better than this, and that's your ego talking a lot.
Sure.
And so I filled out the application at work, and all of a sudden this lady calls me, and her name's Angela, And she was like,
we know her.
hey, man, you're from the same town I am.
Yeah.
And I was like, what? That's crazy. That's weird. And she did. She grew up in the same town I went to high school. And I told her a little bit of my story. And she's like, yeah, you're good. You're going to be a grant recipient. So that's how it started.
It pays to know the CEO.
But
No, it just pays, like, for you, I guess, to have Bixby, Oklahoma
it was a
on
God.
your
It was a God wink.
application.
And I'm a huge believer in God winks.
It's funny, and I don't call many people, especially anymore, but I called you, and I remember our conversation, and you got through, not just because you were from my hometown, because when I'm looking at an application, you can't send everybody, you got to send the people that want to get better.
Right.
And the person's name at the bottom of your application helped you get through so much because he wanted to get better so bad, and he told me that he knew that you wanted to get better too. So,
and I did.
I'll send anybody that wants to get better.
Right, for sure. And you don't have to get into the dirty details, but for people out there struggling from addiction, it's so easy to say like, oh, I'm not that bad, or but like, what was your day to day when you were in it? I mean, you don't have to have a DWI every day to have a problem. But like you said, you had that like icky feeling. I mean, what was there a breaking point? Was there something that happened? Or was it just like, I hate the way I feel every day I wake up?
There were a million breaking
all those things.
There were a million breaking points.
Yeah.
My previous wife, our second grandson was born one day, and this is right about before I'm going to 343, and not a lot of people know this.
So this is like a year ago now.
Yeah, and it was literally 8 days before going to medicine. I drank, and she was so upset and so dejected and so mad at me for doing that, and knew that I was But in the, to the dirtier details, like I knew I needed to get sober from 2019 on. But I'm smarter than the disease. That's what I told myself. I'm like, no, I'll beat this. And I knew that I was never going back to a detox facility because I went to one at the VA. It's like a prison, literally they put you in the little no-slip socks. And you're like, all right, I don't ever want to do this. This is a low for me.
Did you keep the socks?
Yeah. No.
That's just your
I
reminder
should've,
of
right?
what you never want to go back to.
I mean, if they were flip-flops, for
Thank
sure.
you,
Yeah, I would have
Thank
kept
God
them.
Ambio doesn't hand out socks right when you walk in, or he'd be like, I'm out.
No-slip socks that's a low for me. But I'd learned how to chemically detox myself with Ativan and benzodiazepines.
Yeah.
And I'd try through the VA. I'd gone back to get a 14-day supply to detox myself, and there was a VA psychologist or something like that there, and he's like, I know what you're doing. And I was like, what do you know I'm doing? You don't know me. Stop it. And he's like, and so he turned his monitor around and showed me how many times
you had done
in the last 2 years that I had done that. And it was like this big long list, and I'm like, crap. Those bastards are keeping track.
Yeah.
Like, what are they doing? What are they doing?
Yeah, but you had to move after that to keep yourself going.
So then I just went to Mexico because Mexico, they don't keep as good a track. And you could go to Mexico and buy like 80 Ativans at a time.
You just cross border?
Yeah. And I would just fly. I would fly to Mexico. I did it 3 different times. And that obviously drove my ex-wife mad,
No, he would just get up and go and leave.
Like,
and
I would
not
just
tell
leave.
her where he was going.
I'm like, hey, I'm going to Mexico. I'll be back in a week. And I would go.
That's got to be hard on the marriage.
Would you party first?
I would drink. I wouldn't call it party.
Okay,
I'm too
drink.
old to party.
You would go drink first,
Yeah,
and then you're like, I have 6 days to drink, because then I'm going to get my 14-day supply and head home, kind of thing.
And my drinking was alone back then. I am not a clubber. I don't want to see other people. I want to be by myself at a bar with my best friend
is
Jameson.
also a red flag. Yeah, that's right.
So yeah, I'm a walking red flag with that for sure.
Yeah, he wasn't doing anything bad except just trying to not die from his addiction.
Right.
So he actively knew, I'm killing myself and I have to do this. But the tool was so useful.
And I guess that's the point I wanted to get across is it doesn't require getting DWIs every week. It doesn't require, drunkenly stumbling into a club or out of a club in the street and starting fights. Like, that's it can be
No,
sitting
he's
alone drinking.
very well respected,
Right.
and by the community. He held down a very important position all while doing this. He was really good at compartmentalizing his trauma and keeping it safe.
Right.
So when I read that on his application, like what he was doing to keep this going, like I knew he was going to die.
Right.
So,
And I think a lot of people out there are doing that
Mm-hmm.
and think they're beating the disease, and they don't realize
Yeah, your ego tells you you're beating the disease, and your ego tells you that
it's not
you're
stopping
better
you
than
from,
this.
Right. It's not stopping you from advancing in work. It's not stopping you from doing
Yeah.
XYZ at your job. You're not going to work drunk, so you're fine.
I can still command fires. I can do that.
That's right.
The reality of the thing is that we're the tip of the iceberg. It's so much bigger of a problem than we recognize.
Right.
So the tip of the iceberg are the maladaptive behaviors that we all see. Either the drunk guy when he shouldn't be drunk, or the DUI, which is it's a key indicator.
Sure.
Hey, you're getting a DUI. What? That wasn't a happenstance thing.
Right.
My go-to was get beer and go to the country, like go somewhere else. And I'm a runner. Naturally, I'm trying to get better at that. Where like controversy happens, I'm like, okay, I'm leaving the country.
Yeah.
So bye-bye.
See you in a week. Yeah.
Yeah. Like,
Yeah.
I do not accept this condition.
for 3 to 4 weeks.
Yeah. And I'll see you later.
Okay.
Even post-COVID, I went to Peru for a month almost, and just was bebopping around. I was sober during that time frame. I was super proud of myself until I got off Machu Picchu, and then I had a beer. So it's a challenge. Being an alcoholic, and that's something I was never able to say until ibogaine. Being an alcoholic is hard. It is a challenge. It is not a way I would ask anyone to live or wish for anybody to live. And I'm an alcoholic. Now, no, I can't do that. And it's because of this life-saving treatment. ibogaine saved my life. 343 saved my life. And those were a series of God winks from the fact that I met Wade in therapy or in treatment.
Right.
And
So it
made
served its purpose,
made
whether
friends.
it actually got you sober or
The
not.
Center of
Going-
Excellence
that's
worked.
No,
That's right,
because
it worked.
he
the
met
Center of
Wade.
Excellence,
In its own way, yeah.
they gave me a lot of tools to recognize trauma processing, and I needed a lot of that.
Yeah.
But I just couldn't get over that hill, and I just couldn't get over that fact of like, man, one of these days I'll be healthy enough to have a beer.
But it's an actual physical
oh yeah,
problem, and so you're not alone. Many people can't get over that hill because you're physically, I don't want to say broken, but there's something that needs to be repaired.
yeah, it's sad to hear myself talk about it now because I wasted so much time. I let alcohol be my center of gravity for so long that what's the sad part for me is like, what could I have been without that? What could I have done? And the reality is, and the acceptance piece that I've come to is, this is exactly where God wants me.
Right.
This is exactly where the lesson would not have been learned unless
Right. If
I
that
did
happened,
this.
in 2006, it wouldn't
Oh,
have
my
been the
goodness.
same.
You know what's also crazy too about your story? We've talked about this a lot, but when you got that DUI, that was like a godsend for you, literally, because you love the position that you're in now in the department, and you love your job. But a lot of people, I think, initially when things like that happen to them, that they think are these big career destroyers or whatever, or at least the path that they had in their mind, and then that path goes awry, they don't know how to handle it. And a lot of times people kill themselves, when that happens, when their carrot gets taken away.
Right.
But like, to the point of what Wade said about you at the bottom of the application, which is why I sent you through the program, he said that you want to heal. You want to be a better person. And I think that attitude, that drive that you were built with has, gotten you through everything and gotten you to having this great sobriety story. Not every single person that goes for this treatment. This is a fantastic story. This is not a rare story. but it's a story about someone who really decided to work a program.
Right, and a redemption story. And that's the beautiful thing, especially being a Christian, is you said, oh, I've wasted so much time, or what all I could have done. To your point, you're right where God wants you. Mm-hmm. You have people that you're now going to serve on so many levels that you never would have been able to before, starting with this conversation right here, because somewhere out there, there's a guy, a gal, someone in your same shoes, from 12 months ago, that's going to wake up and go, oh my God, that's me. That's why I ask you, what was your day-to-day like? Because some people don't think they have a problem. You may have realized it, but there are plenty of people out there who have no idea. And when they can finally open up and see that, maybe they'll be the ones to go fill out an application.
We used to watch, I talked to Nate about this too, we used to watch Intervention, like if you're doing really bad. I think so many addicts do this, and you're like, oh, okay, I'm doing I have a house.
That's right. Yeah, you're like, I'm not hiding liquor bottles in my grandmother's basement. Yeah,
and so like,
I did a little bit of that.
That's
you're like, eh.
Well, I had some liquor bottles for sure.
All right, well, see, I'm better. I'm doing better.
Yeah, you're doing better for sure. Yeah.
But I think that keeps people away from it so much because those are the conversations.
And anything we see on TV, we just have to know it's the most extreme, or the most dramatized, or the most. Same. My father's place has been on Intervention, and there was and the couple of people that went through, those were even some of the extreme cases in their treatment center ever.
Makes for good television.
Great television, but it doesn't mean that's all there is as far as the disease goes. So talk to us about. You fill out the application. Angela calls you. She says you're in. What happens next?
I start getting scared about when I can quit drinking
because it's real.
Yeah,
right?
I'm like
that
you talk to there. It's such a professional system. I can't overstate that. Like medical professionals call you and say, okay, this is. They go through your records and say, okay, I see you're on this. You need to stop taking that. You need to stop taking this. And you have to be very honest with the. And that's tough for an alcoholic. It really is to be truly honest and say, okay, I can't, you cannot drink a week before you go.
That's why it was day 8 for you.
It was, I was day. Like, I'm going to, that's how insane my brain worked was I'm going to get my one last, and it was like just beer. I didn't go full tilt on the, I didn't go buy a bottle of Jameson, that was my go-to.
We're picking up on that.
But that was your first thought was, okay, oh gosh, how many days? And that's a lot of people in pre-journey. That's it. And I'll even tell people, drink until the day you can't, or do whatever you need to do, because those are your tools, and you know how to work those tools. So, go with what you know until you can't. And then it's a real hellacious period leading up until I'm going to say until the morning after your journey.
Yeah, I was off Ativan too because I stopped drinking. I'm like, okay, I don't want to withdraw because at my worst I was withdrawing really bad, which is just the worst feeling if you've ever had it. I was terrified about flying to San Diego because airports are my jam.
It's fun to drink in an airport.
Yeah, I don't know if I've ever been in an airport. I don't stop at an airport bar.
There's all those memes, but it's true. It's like the airport is where there's no rules, right? Like at 8 a.m., you can be eating Chinese food, drinking Jameson, and sleeping on the floor, and it's like totally acceptable. So yeah,
completely. And so I was, nervous about that, but we, flew to San Diego and stayed at a hotel and met some people that were going with me that first night, and then the next morning we had a time and place to be, which I'm good at that, being places at the right time. And got picked up and driven into Mexico, and it was a wonderful it was a good experience. It was it's a 5-day. I don't know if you want me to expound on that, but it was a 5-day experience. The first day is largely medical in-processing because, there are some cardiac risks involved with certain classifications of people with different cardiac conditions. So
I want to just come in here real quick and just say this is incredibly safe medication as long as there's an there's an EKG performed before. And even if there is an issue, it still could be workable, at least by the people at Ambio Life Sciences.
Sure.
Trevor Miller really works, and the crew over there, to get anybody to medicine that is medically safe. And there's a whole pre-journey medical protocol that happens with not only with the medical intake, but they put a line in your arm, and so that they have access to it at all times. And they drug test, they do a urinalysis, they do a blood test, and really make sure everybody's clean and ready to go.
And they have all the tools to pivot if needed, if something happens.
Everybody's hooked up to
Yep.
a cardiac monitor. This is why this is so important, in my opinion, to be done and medically monitored.
And we'll
Yeah.
retell your story after
Yeah.
he finishes.
But that one is, that's all the precautions are done. And that's what the first day, that's all that you do. And then you go do something that's a little bit uncomfortable.
Yeah, it was, and that was my point too, exactly with the medical processing. It was just very professional.
Mm-hmm.
It was, and I'm around paramedics and nurses a bunch because of my
I think
job.
that's important because people hear Mexico, and they
No,
want to.
these-
You know what's
They-
crazy? The medical care in Mexico is
Is-
far superior to the United States.
I agree.
So-
I know people who go for certain plastic surgeries and all of that, and it's like if you go look at some of their clinics, they far surpass.
Well, their government pays for their education as well, and so they're really just really properly educated, and they continue their education. But the service there and the kindness, the empathy that the Mexican people have, I've seen the doctors on their hands and knees wiping the saliva out of a man's mouth after he vomited during a
Right.
journey. And the
And
kindness.
that's the doctor, not just an aide.
No, that's
Right.
the doctor.
Yeah.
So it's really safe. But after they do all the medical intake, then you guys go on a little field trip.
We do a field trip. We go to a sweat lodge. It's called Temazcal.
Temazcal. Yeah, you got
and
it.
it was, I just said it right?
Yeah.
Good. And it was, and I'm from Oklahoma, so I've heard about sweat lodges a lot in my life because we've got a lot of tribal
Native Americans,
Native
yeah.
American tribes in Oklahoma, but I've never really seen one. It was just this little stone hut, and there's 6 dudes, and I'm a tall guy. I'm 6'2", I'm like, man,
Yeah.
how are we gonna
fit
how are we
in
gonna
that?
fit in there?
Snuggle.
I'm gonna be wearing that, dude. And we fit.
Come on in.
We fit. Plus a couple other people, like this, 20-something, Mexican lady was in there with them, and she was fully clothed, and we're barely in like swimsuits and just sweating our butts off. But I think we were in there for like an hour and 15 minutes or something like that, and it was warm. Coming from the fire service, I was sitting in there, and there's another guy that was a little smaller than me, and he's like, "Man, it's hot," and I'm like, "It's really hot up here, bud." Like it's like,
Heat
it's-
rises, and I went
yeah,
here. Yeah.
I feel like my head's on fire, but we're gonna be okay. But they give you like a little. It is warm. It's completely doable. They give you a
Says the firefighter.
I
Yeah.
know. I'm like,
You're gonna be all right.
I don't love saunas, so now this is the part that scares me more.
It's like
than
a
any of the
sauna
rest.
times 2. It felt like.
So
like,
it's really it's their medicine,
Right.
and
Sweat it out,
just to
right?
sweat it out.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's a real. It helps you surrender to your mind's complications, and it helps you start to detox your body. So it's kind of twofold. It gives
Right.
you that
Like
mental
you aren't
fortitude.
gonna die, but you have to convince yourself of that.
Yeah, and then it proves to you at the end. You might be telling yourself, because sometimes I'm in there and I'm like, I'm gonna die. I am going to die. And then
This is
you
the
tell
end.
yourself when you're out, I'm alive.
Yeah.
You know.
I'm
So
not dying.
it's one of those things that's so important during to prep for a psychedelic journey and in a psychedelic journey to prove that your mind's a liar. Because the entire time with ibogaine, it's not an ego dissoluter. Like you're gonna have your ego present,
Right.
and you're gonna be
Convincing yourself.
trying to, because
Yeah.
you want to hold on to the hell you know.
Right.
So when new patterns are happening, your ego's going, wait. So this helps to prepare that ego, settle it down a bit, start trusting your body, because your body does a lot during that, and I guess get you guys really comfortable with yourselves in a tight, confined space, and that's a first journey everybody does together.
it was funny because it was like they hand you a little hanky,
That sounds worse to me than the medicine.
and then you could
For
dip
me, it
this
is.
hanky in this like bucket of water, right? And I'm like, oh, that's slightly unsanitary, I think, whatever. And
That's
so I
how we don't get COVID. We talked about this.
but by the end of
salsa
it,
and that.
Lick
yeah.
the subway pole.
by the end of it, like there's all this water on the ground, and you're sticking your face in it.
Yeah, you don't even
because
care.
it's so hot. And
That's
you're like,
so
okay,
Started.
true.
It's like,
that's
we're gonna share a
wonderful.
rag, and then you're like, anything.
Yeah,
we're basically
it
best
gets
friends
real
now.
cozy in there.
I was, you kind of, as a guy, you don't want to I don't want to touch that guy's feet, or something like that.
Till the end.
But till the end, and you're like, whatever.
Yeah.
Lay your head in my lap.
Older? Yeah. Anything feel cool.
Yep.
Everyone gets to wear deodorant, right?
I really
That would
like
be my
Temazcal.
issue.
Yeah. Everybody gets to wear deodorant. It's actually preferred.
Yeah,
too,
please.
You liked it?
I liked it. I mean,
did?
I'll do it again.
Firefighter.
Yeah.
We have to remember that.
I don't love it, personally. It's my nemesis.
That would be you've walked me through how everything goes, and that to me, I noticed you kind of skimmed over that. He's giving me a little more detail.
Yeah.
You're like, you sweat it
y'all's
out.
little,
Next.
Yeah. If you like that, it's likable. No, it's good. It's great to go through it, and you should put yourself through it. The first time I did it, I stayed, the first few times I did it, I stayed in. Now, I'm kind of like,
I know what I know what's coming. I'm good.
And I don't shame myself. It's also important in this process, if you do get out or something. I've been with plenty men that have done many manly things, 6'4" and above, way taller than you, Nate.
And they can't handle the.
They got to get out, you know. And it has nothing to do with that. It's just kind of about doing what you can and then honoring yourself. And then everybody gets back into the suburban. That's the only adventure during this entire journey where you go somewhere.
You go back, and there's a lot of not counseling, but there's a lot of group talking about here's what's happening the next day. It's step-by-step process, and there's some individual sit-downs with your host where you can talk specifically about building your intentions and ensuring that they're genuine and something that you want to actually occur. And then Tuesday, that's the next day or the second day, it's kind of the process of that individual talking about intentions and spending some quiet time really building on that until that night, the night of the second day, and when the medicine is administered. And you don't want to eat a lot that day for sure. Drinking water only kind of stuff.
Till noon.
Yeah. And then, you sit around the fire and talk about your intentions, and you've developed a burn sheet or something you want to throw into the fire that you want to get rid of in your life.
Sure.
For me, mine was resentment and alcohol. I did not want to have a relationship with it at all. I wanted to change how my thought processes worked. And I'd heard what Wade went through. My friend Wade was so pivotal in this because you have a coach pre-journey that you talk through, and they'll talk you through the process. But having someone and have an intimate, friendship with,
sure,
tell you that story and say, this is what I did, and this is, man, I still feel that way. And he was 3 or 4 months post-journey when I was going. So that gave me a level of comfort that Wade, and I know how Wade was, that he went through that. And so they administer the medicine, which was a series of 4 pills. Over one, you'd take a pill, and 15 minutes later take another one, and then eventually they take you upstairs to the ceremony room where there's mattresses and a mirror on the wall and a ceremonial rattle, and you just kind of start letting the medicine take hold, and it did, and that's kind of when the roller coaster ride kind of begins. And for me, it was good. I did purge quite a bit at first, but that's eventually settled down, and I just felt very heavy and laid down and put my eye mask on and was calm, and had kept reminding myself that this is about letting go. Mm-hmm. And letting the medicine do what it's going to.
So you're conscious enough.
You're conscious the entire time.
Well, but to be able to tell yourself, this is why this is happening, or this is why I'm doing this. I want to let go of this. So kind of just embracing it.
I explain to people that ibogaine is magical and mystical, and you need to it's a medicine you can talk to and reacts back. It's completely out of this world, different than anything you've ever experienced. A lot of people don't have visuals, from what I understand, and I had some. They weren't, mine was, I remember having my eye mask on and seeing something, and then opening my eyes under the eye mask and still seeing something, and then taking my eye mask off and seeing something, and then one of the coaches walks by, and I'm like, I think I'm going to see this whether I like it or not, and he's like, yeah, man.
Yeah.
And I was like,
Strap in.
okay.
Yeah. And at
and
least do it with my
I was
eyes.
okay with like letting go. I mean, I think I'd done a lot of thought process of like, hey, I just need to let go through this process. I need to let the medicine do what it's going to do. You know, real short, my visuals were, there was a movie screen. One side it was really clear. One side was pixelated and had a big purple block in it. Had a bunch of figures or something's working on it down there. You could hear them working on it. Dee, you know, working on something. And all of a sudden, the whole screen went clear. And I heard this big yay. And the curtain went up and the show began. And it was like, you know, those roto viewers.
That's so crazy
when
that
we were
you're
kids.
saying this.
The roto viewer thing?
Yes.
So that's how my visions came to me. They were just like a rotational view, like a roto viewer, and they were almost like in slow moving snapshots. And the things I remember that I saw were just random, and it didn't make a lot of sense. And I kept saying, "What are you trying to show me?" You know,
So it wasn't like visions of your past, but it was just.
It was visions of my past, but it was things that I didn't specifically remember.
Okay.
And I kept, like, hey, what are you trying to show me? What's the lesson here? What am I trying to, and every time I would say that, it would just start over. And I'm like, okay, I should just shut up.
Great. Yeah.
I
Better
should
just sit there.
I
That's
should just be
wild that
quiet.
you say that, because we have a friend who actually, when I told him that I'd met Angela and she'd been on my show, I was with him the next day, actually, and he said, I went down and did it. And I said, no, I didn't know. And his exact experience was, those little things when you were a kid that used to click through.
That's crazy.
Mm-hmm.
It's wild. He said it was like every time I closed my eyes, it was as if I clicked the thing and the next thing came up. He's like, and then if I opened my eyes, the same thing was there. So like, that's how I have envisioned it, because that was his story. And to now hear that for a second time, clearly for some people that is the experience.
And what's crazy is like not everybody has the same experience.
No.
I mean,
No.
obviously it's. But
There's
that's
similarities, though.
That's
Like,
pretty cool that somebody
I
else
mean,
said that.
no,
The
that's
roto
why
viewer
when you
thing.
just said that, I was like, oh
Yeah.
my gosh, because that was.
I've heard it a few times. You know,
see?
that
Really?
people,
Yeah. I'm not
and-
weird.
Yeah.
And people
Um,
talking about trains a lot or screens. There's always
Right,
a lot
like
of
a movie.
screen.
That's what he said. He said it felt like a roto. Well, he didn't use that word. He's like, remember those things? I was like,
Yeah.
yeah.
I was worried that I would see combat, or
Yeah.
I would see things that I've seen in the fire service,
Sure.
or I would
Traumatic
see
things.
every sin I've ever committed. I was terrified of all that, because I was a pretty straight-laced guy. I've never been into drugs or anything like that, minus alcohol, which is a complete horrible drug. So relatively speaking, straight-laced guy. So I was just like, I was nervous about that, and it wasn't things that I couldn't see, or and I don't know how long the time and space went, but I eventually fell asleep.
I have to ask a question because I am this way. When you say purge, you mean you were throwing up?
Mm-hmm.
Do you throw up easily from like anesthesia?
No.
Okay, because I do.
But I used
So-
to puke a lot when I was drinking.
Well, same.
Yeah. I mean,
but-
James would come back.
Yeah. So that's what that's
Yeah.
my biggest fear. Like my biggest fear in life in general is puking in front of people, because I feel like when I played college softball, our coach would make us run. I would puke in a trash can. So I remember I was terrified. Everyone told me, you were a Division I athlete. Like, you should do CrossFit. Like, you would love CrossFit. It's competitive. It's whatever. And I withheld for a long time because my fear was being pushed to the point of puking. And there were plenty of times I came very close, like had to run outside and walk around, but I never did. But I will say, like anesthesia, I get very sick very easily from. And so that for me is, now in this setting, obviously it's potentially part of it. I don't think that I would be as bothered, but I don't like throwing up.
Yeah.
You know.
A lot of people have that fear actually going into the medicine.
Yeah.
And sometimes you puke and sometimes you don't.
Right.
And sometimes you puke for a really long time.
Right.
There's nothing you can do about it.
Yeah.
I was caught in a loop in my last ibogaine journey. It was showing me something. It was teaching me something. But in part of that, it was repeating over and over again. And to me, only 4 songs were playing the whole time.
Right.
and I was doing something, and for song number 3, I was vomiting
Every time?
for the song. Yeah, 3
Every
times.
time it played?
3 times.
Oh my gosh.
And it was teaching me about, okay, all this stuff's going to happen to you. Like, this is going to happen. It's coming. You know it's coming. It was just teaching me about surrender and prepare. So what could I do to prepare? Well, I could get the bucket because I knew the song was coming.
Yeah,
And then when the song come on, I puked the first time. I'd be like, okay, I'm not going to put it back. I know it's coming 2 more times. And the more I gave into it, the easier it got. If I would fight it, like when it came on the 3rd time, I was the most dramatic. And that's interesting because in workouts, I'm most dramatic on the 3rd round, 3rd to 5.
Yeah.
So I was like, oh my God, are you kidding me?
Yeah.
You know, and then by the 4th, I'm like, okay, whatever. I know how to
Here
do
it is
this.
again,
I'm
yeah.
like, okay, maybe there's only 1 more round left. And I had like, I don't know how many rounds I had, but I made it. But people will really victimize themselves when they're if they get caught in a vomit loop. Like, I was the only one in the room vomiting or whatever. But what it is, it's actually just a purge. So it's just getting out of you.
Whatever
It has to get out. A purge can come through your skin, you know, through sweating, through tears. So a lot of people, if they can't cry, thank God they can vomit, you know?
Right.
So yeah, but when you're in the room with a bunch of people, you really don't care anymore.
And I think I don't know that I would care as much there. It's just more I don't like the feeling of throwing up. Who likes it, right? So
Nobody.
You know, it's like sign yourself up for 5 days. I mean, I know.
And the only thing is, it's like how when you have the list, when you have your intention list, and you see the power that's on it, and what could be on the other side. 12 hours of vomiting,
you
no
don't
problem.
Really care. Right? Yeah. Yeah.
I really think I was purging all of my inner demons.
Yeah.
And so
So for you, it was probably like, get out. I don't even.
I was very apologetic, just like Angela said. I was like, I'm sorry, I'm the only one doing this, you know. And I wasn't.
Who brought this guy?
Yeah, like, hey.
Oh, we got a puker.
Look, it's Pukey.
You sit in that bed. We have the sign over top that says "Puker, sit here."
The
That's
next day, though, the guys that were around me said we could see black coming out of you, and I know it wasn't. I mean, you're completely alert. You know what's going on, and it wasn't.
I mean, you're on a psychedelic.
You know what I mean? Yeah. I mean, you're
like you're alert.
You're on a psychedelic, but people that haven't done those don't realize that you're still within yourself. You can still have thoughts. You're not. It's not like being drunk where you stand up and you fall over because I have no control over my body.
No, you're ataxic, which
Yeah.
just means you're shaky, so you just need some help to the bathroom. But yeah, you can still get up and say, I have to go to the restroom. You can still take care of yourself, all that.
It's not, you don't go comatose and into the spirit world where you can't do anything.
Function, right.
But I knew that the vomit wasn't black, but the guys around me were seeing it as black.
As part of their, like
I was a part of their journey. They were like,
Did it look like anything to you?
It was just, it was literally
Water.
dry heaving.
Yeah.
And whatever water I had left in me,
What does happen oftentimes, like you said, one of the coaches walked in front of you, that probably didn't happen.
Right.
So a lot of times, like, I'll go down with their groups, just not to do the medicine, but just to be there as support. Sure. I always go to bed right when they lay down after shaking their rattles. It's very early in the night. And so many of them the next day, the last time I went down there, I had one of the police officers. He said, hey, the next morning he goes, are you mad at me? And I said, no, dude, why would I be mad at you? He's like, it was just because of last night. And I'm like, oh, what did I do?
Yeah, what happened?
No, I wasn't here. And he says, you came over and you got onto me and you said, shh, be quiet, Bobby. You're disturbing the whole room. And I said, no, Bobby, I would never say that to you. Yeah. But I was in my room sleeping and he was like, you weren't here? You didn't tap me on the shoulder? He would have, died on that hill. But it happens so much during ibogaine that people will think the people that are there in the room or that... or that
are more involved than they are.
So much more pacing around, and it's there's always a doctor present, and nurses, medical staff, but it's a skeleton crew. At night it's only like there's probably 4 people there in the whole room.
Right.
But it feels like the room is packed.
Interesting.
I was happy that I was glad I eventually went to sleep. I don't know how long it took, but I woke up the next morning. And a nurse was giving me another IV bag, and I just looked up, and I was like, wow, I made it. That's cool. But I was so weak. So there's, after ibogaine is, known as the gray day.
Sure.
And it was pretty gray for Nate. Really, it was a gray day.
Define it, because the grade A, and for anyone who's been hungover, maybe there's some of that.
It doesn't feel
It's
like
not
that.
that.
Not physical, but I mean the mind fog, or like,
It is.
No, it's
shame.
so
No.
weird.
Physically and emotionally exhausted.
Broken is what we used to
Okay.
call it.
You just are so. I was, at least me. I was so exhausted, and that sweet nurse, she's like, "Do you want to go downstairs and get in your bed?" I was like, "Yes."
Can you
my-
carry me?
I will be your best friend and dance at your wedding if you give me a bed right now.
Were you able to sleep when you got back down to your bed?
Oh, for like 24 hours, and I had a roommate, came over and like, "Hey, are you okay?"
Yeah, but you slept on your grade A?
I slept some. I did not sleep. You didn't sleep well. It's like you were almost too exhausted.
So
to
it's
sleep.
typical, like you can't sleep. You're so tired, your body's so exhausted, but you're also not able to enter into sleep. And it's weird. It's like your brain is like defragged and it's like coming back in, and you'll think you have like epiphanies, or you'll still be in the medicine. A lot of people are still in the medicine. They're still seeing tracers. They're still hallucinating. One guy in June, I was down with his group, and he was talking about he had hours of conversation with a light switch that had animated itself on his wall, and they were friends.
Yeah.
And that's how he spent his whole
Sometimes you
grade
need a
day.
friend, yeah.
And then some people are really sick on grade day. They're vomiting a lot still. A lot of people will talk about that the medicine like still had them or whatever, and then it said something like at the end, like, "Are you ready to be done?" And then they're like, "Yeah," and then like a switch, it's done. So you're still very much in your journey. So a lot of times on grade A, and people can have really great grade A's too. My last 2 grade A's have been absolutely fabulous. I was medically cleared immediately. I ate all day. I was in the sunshine, but I've had the other side of that as well.
Right.
So you're just exhausted. Your body went through so much. We don't even know what your body went through because
Right.
we don't know.
Right.
But it seems to, if you're regrowing, matter in your brain, it's probably going through a very intense healing experience.
Yeah.
Is
Have
what
you
we're
ever
imagining.
done an NAD IV?
NAD,
yeah.
yeah. I do injectable.
But have you ever done the IV?
Yeah.
It's actually changing your body that's why it's so uncomfortable.
Yeah.
So, they tell you should take an hour and a half each bag to do it slowly. But at the same, because if you drip it any faster, it's very intense. It's very uncomfortable because it's literally changing you at a molecular level, like as it enters your body. That's why if you do the injections, it might burn for a second. Then once it's in, and you're
Well,
fine.
a lot of people too, when they first start, if they go too fast,
Right.
it's so uncomfortable with the NAD, or
And
they
you
think,
can
"Oh
feel
my
it.
God, I'm going to have a heart attack,"
or whatever. Yeah, you feel a
yeah.
little off.
Yeah.
For me, I did the initial first partly for allergens, and like my sinuses felt like they were gonna like collapse on my brain, because it's going to heal those areas. But same idea, I would imagine, is you're going to heal the brain. You've literally, to your point, defragged or found the area that needs to be healed, and then I guess grade A is where it's probably trying to come back together. Or
Yeah.
It's
do
definitely
something.
like really working, and some people have it all the way into the other day. So the grade A is just a day off, and they just
Chill.
encourage people to take a shower,
Right.
try to go to the bathroom. If you can walk around, do that because it helps you go to the bathroom faster.
Right.
This is metabolized through your liver, so the quicker you go to the bathroom, the
Better
quicker.
off
Yeah,
it
it's
gets
going to be
out, yeah.
out of you. So a lot of times too, did you take a booster dose? I was curious.
No.
No. A lot of times, if you take a booster dose, your
It'll last a little longer.
your grade A is going to
Yeah.
be a little bit harder. But that said, you take what you need to get what you need to do when you're there, and you're in a really
so
safe
you and I
spot.
spoke about that a little bit on our phone call, but you said you took 4 pills. If you're in it in 3, are you done, or is everybody going to get the 4th?
So yes, if you're in it and you're like, I'm good, they're not going to force a 4th pill on you. But if and that can happen too, people can get in it quick. But usually the standard is everybody takes 4 doses. The 4th dose is done at Ambio anyway on a honey spoon, just a dose open in the honey, and you take it and it happens faster. Now for me, I don't want to do the honey spoon last time. Why didn't I want to do the honey spoon? I don't know. I just was like,
You were in it and didn't need it.
I don't know. There was just something in my, I don't know. There was just something where I was like, I don't want to do that. I just want to take the dose regular.
Oh.
And all I said was exactly what I just said. I don't want
Yeah.
to do that. I want to take it regular. And they said, no problem. So there's a lot of,
So you still took 4. You just didn't do it.
yeah, but there's no pressure,
Right.
there to make you do anything. They want to make sure that you have your experience, and they're going to guide you and advise you on how to do that.
Sure, if
But
you're
Nate,
here, let's do
got
it.
in. My first time, I needed a booster dose. They woke me up 2 hours after I had all 4 of my doses, And Trevor's like, hey, how are you feeling? And I'm like, great.
I'm
You know, 'cause I
sleeping.
thought, this is great. You know, if I could just sleep my way through this, thank you,
Yeah.
God. But no, Trevor's
Yeah.
like, oh, you need another dose.
And you're
So
like-
he got me up and walked me around, and I wasn't toxic at all. And he's like, you're not in anything. So he got me in, and then I was on the floor of the treatment room until 7 p.m. the next day.
Wow.
And just took all the time I need. And they'll accommodate you, whatever. The only thing that's in a rush is your ego. So
To get it done.
yeah, to get
be
everything
done.
done,
Yeah.
to get to the bed first, to finish your IV bag first, you know, to do anything, you know, first.
Just be done.
Yeah, be done. Like, be done the best. You know what I'm saying? So
Kid who
you,
finishes their test first in school.
yeah, or I'm doing better than Bobby, you know,
Yeah.
anything. So to try to put yourself in order during this, because there's nothing in your control. So it wants to reorder everything.
Right.
So oftentimes you spend the day battling with another battle with yourself. How was that for you?
It was, you know, ever since then, I am able to recognize, like, I'm not in control. Stop fighting this, man. Like, this is, and there's, you know, you're not completely free of that for the rest of your life. Everybody tells you, like, nobody else, the rest of your people in your life didn't go do ibogaine.
Right.
So, like,
Amen.
you're gonna have some challenges. I've had some challenges this last year, some big challenges, and you know, I stayed sober, which is a miracle for me.
Sure.
This is a miracle that this
Amen.
happened. It is not of this world. It is.
Of God. That's
It
what
is
it
of
means.
God. It is absolutely of God, and
I mean, and this is ironically a root from our Creator.
Right.
You know?
Well, that's what, you know, that's what we talked about last time too. It's like, and I actually had my nurse practitioner on, and we spoke about pharmaceuticals, big pharma, all the things. And we talked about it. Everything we need to survive is God has provided. If we're
Amen.
willing to look for it. And
well, and you know,
everything we need to heal.
Nancy
God
Reagan
has
told us
provided.
drugs are bad,
Right.
and
right.
so we're
So
like,
we all believe
yeah,
it.
you're right.
And then
That's
your
right.
brain was going to bleed if you did acid. I remember that. I still think that. Do you know that I
This
still
is
think
your
that
brain
about
on drugs.
LSD?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right. It was like, it's dripping into your
Yeah, because
spinal
we got
fluid,
so indoctrinated
Yeah, there.
during the Reagan administration. But one thing that I wanted to mention is that there's something unique that seems to happen with this modality that's unique to other things and other modalities. And that is you get a real opportunity to test your patterns when you come back from it. It seems to thrust you into, all right, let's see how far you came. And no matter what, for me, I had a huge falling out with my family. And
the first time.
yeah, and I quit talking to him for 18 months.
Like, and when you say your family, parents, siblings.
Yeah,
okay.
the whole kit and caboodle. And then I worked myself back to, you know,
Was the
reconciling.
falling out because you did ibogaine?
The falling out was from everything in life that had ever happened. That was what the falling out was. And then culminating with a major grief experience with the loss of my husband. And then feeling everything that I don't know if people realize this, but when you have a traumatic grief incident like that, you know, that kills one of your trees in life, my husband
Right.
was definitely one of my trees, it brings you back to all of your trauma.
Right.
So anything that I had gotten really good at masking, covering, and especially through this person, that got unrooted. And so I was able to go back and face patterns. I have a beautiful relationship with my family now today. So I'm actually going to see them all later today.
Right.
So it's come a long way. But it allows you to start working on whatever you put on that burn list, whatever you put on your intention list. Let's do
It's
it.
going to come to the forefront.
So everything has happened for me that I've ever written on that intention list. It's just we think everything's going to be linear, right? And God has this
right.
whole
Yeah,
other route.
So Nate,
Nate was
you had your
able
gray day.
to experience right away a pattern to see in this last year since his journey how he was going to react and if he was going to pick up that tool again with major life changes.
Yeah.
And to be able to put that to the test and see his sobriety today, it is a miracle, like what he said. So kudos to you, man.
It's, and I guess we'll eventually get to all that, but like, we did have the gray day. It was gray. It was not super enjoyable. I still had auditory hallucinations. but that's the most of it. And then the fourth day is the day that you're administered 5-MeO DMT, and I was
What's that like?
terrified because I did not want another gray day. I just went
right.
through that, and
Right.
I specifically asked the host. I was like, "Hey, is this gonna be like the gray day? Because tomorrow I've got to go back to
Life.
San Diego."
Yeah, that's right.
And
I don't want to feel like that.
yeah, I'm not gonna do that by myself. I need some support. And they were, no, it's not. 5-MeO DMT is the magic icing on top of the magic cake. I'll just describe my experience. You smoke it.
Mm-hmm.
I did. I was blasted off into the universe strapped to the front of a rocket. The
Fun.
universe folded in on itself with equal parabolas from either side and expanded into a different universe. And then I was in this giant expanse of white, where I could see the love my kids have for me and that I have for them. I could see it and feel it. And I heard a voice say, "All is forgiven. Everything that ever has been and everything that ever will be is already forgiven."
Mm.
And I was like, wow, that is so wonderful. And I looked down at my legs and I watched 100 pounds of guilt and shame melt off of it.
Mm.
And I was like, thank you. I'm free of that.
Mm.
I have been carrying all of that because I'm not perfect. And in an instant, you realize that every molecule in the universe is connected to every other molecule in the universe. That the earth has a frequency and that you have to be in tune with it to be most effective. That everything that we know about religion should be specifically geared towards love, and that's the only real thing. The only real thing. And I remember, they give you instructions. Hey, you're gonna know if you want another hit of this. And I was like, oh man, do I want another hit? And I was, in this state, and I could see this little galaxy in the lower right-hand corner of my field of view, and I'm like, hey, what's up, little galaxy? Because I'm friendly.
That's right.
I want to get to know
I
Galaxy.
want to get to know the galaxy.
I don't know his name, or her name, or whatever. I just want to, hey, what's up? And I thought to myself, like, hey, do I want another hit? And the same voice that told me all was forgiven, it said, the medicine is within you. And I was like, oh. Okay.
Dang it.
Man, I am
done.
stoked to be here. And then, like magic, I just came out, and I took my we were so fortunate. Trevor Miller was the one that administered my 5, and I sat up and I took my eye mask off, and I was like, everything's forgiven, Trevor. And he's like, yeah.
And it's like a 15-minute experience, right?
I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know.
It's super,
I mean,
super
it is
quick.
short.
How long did it feel like to you? You had no
Hours,
concept. No one has a
days.
concept when they come
that
back.
you just didn't know. And I could see the Pacific Ocean, and I went and sat on the side of this yard that looking over the Pacific Ocean, and I was like, wow, this is amazing. And I could feel the vibration or the frequency of the earth, and everything was so wonderful. And there's a bowl of fruit there, and I am not a fruit and salad guy. Like, that's what food eats. Mm-hmm. And I was like, oh, this is so wonderful.
Yeah.
And I was just so happy that I couldn't shake how happy I was that I'm human. I can forgive myself, and that everything that I've ever done is already forgiven. Why are you worried about this? It just doesn't. None of this matters.
Right.
You're already forgiven. So that was such a relief, and it's sustained to this day.
That's awesome.
And so, the next day you get up, you go back to San Diego. I was a complete dummy. I didn't. I don't need to. My flight was the next day, so I had another night. Well, there was some kind of you should really check about what's going on. There's a teachers convention in town, and so the hotels were I couldn't stay at the same hotel because it was $1,000 a night,
Sure.
and I probably could have faded it, but I was like, I'll find somewhere else. It's easy. So there's a naval yard. It was like a Motel 6. It was pretty janky. And they just dropped me off with my little backpack. And I'm like, okay, cool. And
You were by yourself?
Oh, yeah. And The other guys went and stayed at a different place because they had similar flights the next day. But I just went to like there's a aircraft carrier museum, and I just went and walked around it and read every plaque and was just in this state of like, wow. But the first thing I did was to go to a cafe and sit down, and I called Wade and said, thank you.
Oh.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Like, this is...
And at that moment, obviously there's still a journey ahead, but like, did you physically, emotionally, mentally feel healed or healing already? Like, could you tell, like...
100%. It was weird because in the past, I loved being alone.
Sure.
This would have been a day that I would have been like, oh, look, there's a bar. Let's go drink there. Or, hey, there's a bar. And it was so weird. I was like trying to make sense of like, why don't I want that?
Right.
Like, this is weird. Like
Like,
it's the
no
last
desire
thing
at
I
all.
want.
Yeah.
And I made it home, and like I said a minute ago, like, not everybody went and did ibogaine.
Sure.
And here I am, like,
Chipper.
and like, I think everything's changed. You don't understand. Everything's changed. And it did for me.
Yeah.
Right.
That's for you.
That's for me, but it didn't for everybody. And, eventually you settle into that. And, they got to watch your feet. You came back, and you can say that you're healed. You can say all these things. And it's, it's a tough, story to just take. Like, oh yeah, you went and did this magic pill in Mexico, and then now you're healed.
No, I
huh?
smoked something too.
Yeah, but I like that you say that. You got to watch your feet.
Yeah,
not your lips. You watch your feet. And
that's what I just started living my life, and I came back to work, and I remember specifically a captain that I work with, he looked at me and he was like, you look 10 years younger.
Wow.
Like, what did you do? And I'm like, psychedelics. Which is crazy to share that with somebody that you work with, but I'm like, man, I think everybody needs this, today.
Yeah.
And you have a unique situation over there in Tulsa. You have an incredibly supportive department and union.
Our union is...
kudos to Tulsa.
Local 176 is, they didn't know I did this at all. But that part of what I'm infected with is I will devote the remainder of my life to getting others to this treatment.
Yeah.
Not for money. I don't want anything from it.
Sure.
I've got everything I need in life. I've got healthy kids. I've got a place to live. I've got a really great job.
That you love.
That I love. That I've been a firefighter for 26 years. I'm dangerous when I'm hitting on all 8 cylinders. If it's
which frankly has only been the last 11 months probably
of my life.
Yeah.
Of my life.
Isn't that wild?
It's like I was, man, like I'm really happy with what I'm doing. And Angela mentioned it, but like I could not be more genuine in that. I'm really happy with what I do professionally. I'm really happy with what I'm doing as a parent. I'm really happy with what I'm doing just as a human. Like being able to come here for this fundraiser and help spread this message of how this saved my life, and just being an example. What a godsend opportunity it is, just to do that. But
to what we spoke to earlier, had you not gone through those years that you originally had said, all that time wasted, it doesn't have this impact. It doesn't have, and it doesn't give you that purpose that you now have to help others get to the medicine.
And I still go to AA meetings.
Because now you like people.
Well, it's
you don't want to be alone anymore.
It's part of the work.
Yeah.
I think I still go to integration calls through 343. I'll probably never stop that. I still go to coaching meetings. I've got a great coach. Shout out to Heather. She's been, she's been my coach through the whole process, and she's been a godsend. And
Heather Hawks.
Yeah.
She's an amazing psychedelic integration coach. So.
Nice.
This stuff is, I don't intend. I haven't been called back to medicine. People do, though. I'm not an anomaly. It's not abnormal for people to have gone through one treatment and then feel this way and react this way, but I'm a good example of it.
Sure.
Of somebody who's like, I really don't. I'm not called back to medicine right now. I'm kind of doing good right now. What's weird is that like alcohol, I can get a little bit physically gag-like sick thinking about how I drank.
Wow.
I mean, I could, if I visualize the specific Quick Trip in Tulsa,
Yeah.
which Quick Trip from Tulsa. That's the
GT,
that's
baby.
that's the home of
We
all Quick
finally
Trips.
got
We
it down
have
here.
those. We have those.
I know.
here, too,
I love
There's
it.
actually one right down Robert.
Okay,
Lane.
well,
Two of
we
them.
started.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You might have touched him last, but we started it.
That's right.
No, Quick Trip. I can remember the Quick Trips I would go to get a specific, these drinks, and it makes me kind of ill to think about. And then I'm not judgmental of other people drinking. People drink.
Sure.
That's true. But I feel sorry for them.
Yeah.
I'm like, every time I see somebody drinking, it's like, oh, buddy, don't do that.
Poison.
Like,
Yeah.
oh.
Yeah.
You're like, you know how good it could be? Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, you just don't know yet.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Well, hopefully you don't get to where I was, where you're going to Mexico to get Ativan and figure
Right.
out how you're going to get through the next day,
Yeah.
which was terrifying,
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah, because you're not walking into like high-end pharmacies to do that. I would
you'd be
imagine.
surprised in Mexico.
Well, maybe.
It's
What are
it
your
was-
3 rules to stay alive?
Oh, the 3 rules to stay alive in international travel by Nate Morgan's. 1, be home by midnight. 2, don't buy drugs. And then 3, don't buy sex. If you do
Well,
those
then
3
don't
things-
buy drugs except Ativan.
And well, I was breaking
Hard
some
drugs.
rules,
Yeah. Yeah,
but
hard
like,
drugs. Street drugs.
yeah, we're not
Don't buy
talking
street
about
sex and don't buy street drugs.
Yeah.
all those things. If you do those things, I think you're gonna be all right.
Yeah.
For the most part. And I've traveled all over.
And
the
you're
world,
still alive?
surprisingly.
Yeah, right?
Yeah.
Which is,
But it's because you followed those 3 rules.
But your story, I think, is so compelling because you do a couple of things for yourself in your post-journey integration. First of all, you highly hold yourself accountable, and you've spoken about your journey so much that it helps because it's like you talked about it. Now everyone knows you're sober, and that part of that's
There's
I think the
accountability.
positivity
Yeah.
of ego right there
Yeah.
to help you with your accountability to stay sober to yourself.
Yeah.
And you don't self-isolate, and you do check in with your coach. You do the post-journey integration, and you're shepherding people just like Wade is. Wade, can't speak the way that you can because, well, frankly, Tulsa's got a just super supportive department.
Sure.
And any department, period, out there, any government entity, any person that doesn't want a story like this in their room
Right.
is not for humanity.
Sure.
And if the departments are against this, after they learn about it, and I realize people are ignorant, you don't know what you don't know, but you know now.
Right.
And if they're against it, then they're against people freeing themselves from this compartmentalized trauma that they're getting on the job or they're getting when they go to war for us.
Well, and why wouldn't they? For example, Tulsa, you went and got your master's, you did, extensive training. You are a benefit to keep there for them, and it is a lot cheaper for them to help you heal and get better and keep you around than it is to find someone new and replace you and everything you're able to do. So it would be in everyone's best interest, not even, if they're looking at it as a bottom line thing, which I would think most entities are, why wouldn't they want everyone who they've already put in the time, energy, and effort to train?
Well, unless
heal them.
unless the pension system's trying to get rid of them, so they don't have a
Well,
longevity. And I don't know. And if that's the case, then people need to do some real soul searching about why they're on this planet. You
Right.
know.
That's right.
But I can't think of any reason other than you don't want this person to have longevity on this earth. And if you're in that category, then you need to get removed from here real quick.
Right,
But
right.
if you want people to have access to longevity, not just first responders, but just, our friends and family and our loved ones, and be out of mental pain and torture, this seems to be a method that has been working. Nate mentioned he's down here to do a talk. He's going to be on a panel with me tomorrow that you're actually going to
Yes, I'm gonna help facilitate,
moderate. So
yeah.
we're excited about that,
Yeah.
to try to bring awareness to this medicine for first responders. So if anybody out there in the world wants to help firefighters and police officers and EMTs or friends and family of people in that category, your donations, 99% of all money brought into our organization goes directly back out to help grant recipients. And if there's a first responder in need or a family of a first responder in need, I don't turn my back. I will help them.
And let's talk about that. So the 343 Fund, y'all have a website where people can go fill out the application to be picked. And how many go per trip that y'all take?
So we send, right now, we send a group a month down to Ambia Life Sciences in Tijuana, Mexico.
And how many is a group?
7 are in that group. And then we work with other providers. They're in smaller groups.
Okay.
And for different medicines too. Okay. But our primary is...
So 70 a year at ish make it. Because do you do every month, even holidays, even all that?
We do. And sometimes we do more than 1 week a month.
Okay.
Really what it is we have more grant applications than we have spots.
Right.
And there's over at Ambio Life Sciences right now, I think it's a year waiting, at least a year to get in. But with us, with 343, we can get in a little faster. Our groups right now, we're booking out in February 2026 right now. Okay. But if somebody's, I don't know how the world works, but I know that how ibogaine or iboga work, and if somebody needs to get to the medicine, these miracles start happening, and it really lines up. Where if people, are gonna, I'll look at an application and be like, this person's not making it to February. I need to think of something else.
Gotta get them in.
And we always think of something else.
Okay,
so
great. And then that also comes with pre-journey
meetings, pre and post journey support, a psychedelic integration coach, a breathwork facilitator, a container of support that has weekly Zoom meetings, whether it be mindfulness Mondays, spouse and partner support. We are talking to your wife or your partner or your best friend or a journey buddy, the person you are hopefully closest to in life. We're going to talk to that person about your journey, so that they understand where you are pre-journey and the mountain that you may need to climb to get to the medicine, and then how to walk you back down that mountain post journey. So we have someone that works with spouses as well, and then we have pre and post journey small group integration meetings all but one night a week, and then a breathwork session available to everybody on Saturdays. So that's an ongoing rotation schedule
all the time. And then Nate, let me ask you, if you don't mind, Angela has mentioned this before, but were you a Christian? Were you a believer before going into the medicine?
Yes. Yeah. I grew up in the Baptist church. Okay. My mom played piano. I can't count how many times she would yell at my brother and I. But and then what
would you say came from the medicine in that respect, if anything?
A clear understanding of how Jesus wanted us to live.
Okay.
Not necessarily the organized religion piece of it.
Well, that's human. That's
absolutely
people, not God.
I don't know if I would say that I'm non-denominational, but
organized religion was created by man.
It was, and you want to get down a rat hole, like this is stuff that I've researched extensively.
We can.
But I am a follower of Jesus.
Right.
Christ follower.
Jesus.
That is it.
Right. Perfect. And that just made that stronger and brighter for you.
Absolutely.
A lot of people that are close to Christ will talk about holding hands or walking with him oftentimes in their journey. It seems like whatever your belief system is, it either it gets enhanced or you come to know of God's existence through this. Right. For me personally, I grew up Catholic, so the medicine has helped me. It's deepened my relationship with God wholeheartedly, and it's allowed me to stop shaming every single thing I've ever done and pass judgment on everything and viewing it as, am I going to heaven? Am I going to hell? And me being able to get that judgmental voice out of the way has really cleared the way for me to get closer to God.
Right. Yeah. I mean, that the religion is about right and wrong, whereas a relationship with God is about a relationship with God and love, right? Like you said, you said for you came out of it and all you saw religion really was all about love, and that's it. And that's really what Jesus was about.
Yeah.
Religion is, like you said, something man came up with, and we find a way to screw it up all the time. So I think everyone can know that, whether you go into the medicine or not. That's something that everyone should know. But I do find it interesting when you and Brian have both talked about, a lot of people go in having no concept of any higher power relationship with anything, and then come out and need help. Like, and that's another thing that you guys offer, though, with the post journey calls and things like that is, okay, let's find you a church. Let's find you a group who, now feels the way you feel and maybe believes the things you now believe, or help you kind of guide whatever you experienced in it. You've had some of those. I know you said you've had atheists go in and come out.
I had just one police officer. He was a retired police officer, and he came out, and it was right after the 5-MeO DMT, and we were on the hill that you were talking about overlooking the ocean, and he was crying. He had these tears of joy in his eyes, but they also had some concern behind him, and he said, I don't know what to do. I was an atheist until just a second ago, and now I believe in God. And I was like, yeah, buddy, right on. Like, what?
Yeah.
Where you been?
Yeah.
And he's like, no, you don't understand. Like, I don't know what to do. And I realized, like, his whole belief structure at, 50-something years old just got,
around,
like,
there's no God. Yeah.
the floor fell out,
Right.
So then I thought,
Okay.
Oh,
Let's get him
Lord.
some help.
We're going to need to integrate this man in. And to be honest with you, I'd never even thought of that until that moment.
Right.
But when things like that happen, those moments like that, first of all, they're beautiful moments. And secondly, they just allow for an opportunity to grow our program even better, to be a better container for people. So, so far, so good. I've never seen it happen the opposite way. A lot of religious people will say, I went and I read the Bible about psychedelics or blah, 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 blah. And at the end of the day, you're getting man's interpretation anyway on those readings. Right. But at the end of the day, all I know is I've never seen anyone go backwards in their faith. I've only seen a forward or gain faith. And secondly, this was made for all humans. It is a root on our earth. Whoever made our Mother Earth,
right. It was very intentional in that.
Very intentional. And the plants are here to heal us. They do heal us. We've done a wonderful job on a mass marketing campaign through Big Pharma to let us believe otherwise, that there's not a plant for that. But what I have found in my own healing journey is there does happen to be a plant for that. And all of that is from our Creator too. And I believe God put this on our earth so that we know Him and so that we can advance our healing faster. And we should all get to know it better if we have a mindset that it shouldn't be for people, because there's 2 people sitting in this room, maybe 3, I don't know, that are better humans today because of this journey and because of this medicine. So it's my mission to make sure that as many first responders on this planet, at least the United States and Canada, can have access to this, and their friends and family.
Yep.
Nice. So if you are a police officer, an EMT, a firefighter,
career, 10 or more years,
career, and you have anything from addiction, TBI, PTSD,
depression.
So it doesn't have to be as...
I had Lyme disease when I found this. And
right. It doesn't have to even be as significant as his alcoholism was or any of... But go to your website, fill out the application.
Yeah. Obviously, the more forthcoming you are, I'm going to tell you, all first responders, whether they want to admit it or not, you have compartmentalized trauma.
Sure.
Okay?
Yeah, you've seen things.
When you want to unpeel that and you want to admit it, start on this piece of paper on a my grant application. The comparison is a thief of joy in this category. Tommy had it worse. Susie's dad,
It's the thief of joy in every category, but you're right.
You probably just haven't told your story yet. Right. But a lot of people end up, we're not here to... Nate wasn't here to absolve himself from alcohol. Nate was here to go find himself and find self-love, and then guess what? He doesn't want alcohol anymore because he loves himself now.
Right.
So we all are on a self-love journey, and this is a catalyst to self-love. And as Nate put so beautifully, the whole point of it all is unconditional love.
And if you are someone who, and particularly have lost someone you love who was a first responder to any of these diseases, PTSD, addiction, maybe you can hear Nate's story and realize there are opportunities to help and donate to the 343 fund, because like she said, 99% of all the money that comes in does go to people like Nate who need this medicine, who need this experience. And so, maybe help save a few more.
Save the savers, man.
Right?
Nate, I want to ask you, you went to the Center of Excellence twice, right? Mm-hmm. What is that, $75,000 a pop?
It's expensive, yes, absolutely.
And your union paid for it?
Yeah.
See, the unions could pay $10,000 a person and have a full container of support and a psychedelic journey safe guided.
That physically heals them.
That actually works.
And it's why the locals come and to this event tomorrow.
Yeah,
night.
Local 176, Tulsa, Oklahoma.
And
Awesome.
You know,
Amazing.
we're an old union, and it's a strong union.
You care
and
about your people.
that we genuinely care
Mhm.
about our people. We've had 5 or so suicides in the last decade, and
Wow, yeah.
we're tired of it.
Right. And
We're-
imagine,
we're
being
done.
able to avoid that.
Like it's impossible for us to not say, like, we could have done more. Like, we need to be able to do more. And I'm the guinea pig or the canary in the coal mine with this thing. They didn't know. The local didn't know I was doing this, but I came back and immediately told them.
Right.
The fire department certainly doesn't know that didn't know that I was going to do this. And they're just in a wonky, we talked a little bit about this, municipalities are in a wonky space, especially, administratively with this stuff. But, society tells us it's okay to get off work and go drink, but it's not okay to seek this life-saving treatment.
Right. And for
And-
anyone wondering, well, why? It's because it is still federally listed as a psychedelic, as bad
As a Schedule 1 narcotic, which is
Right.
ridiculous because by the very definition of that, it needs to be something that's has addictive properties. No one will be addicted to
Right.
ibogaine.
And no
Right.
medicinal
Like-
value. And this
Right.
has
Function in
great
life.
medicinal
Yeah.
value. And it's
Right.
already been proven. It's just a matter of, like we said, Nancy Reagan ruined acid for me, right? To this day.
Right.
Thanks, Nancy.
Right.
But so many people have found so much
It's
healing.
it's archaic,
It is, and it's archaic, and it's thought patterns, that have been
Right.
ingrained, and fear. It's
Right.
actually just fear. So that's why we are working so hard, and Americans for Ibogaine is working so hard. Rick Perry, Brian Hubbard, and company over there, and Ann Claire Stapleton. Like, everybody's just like really trying to properly educate people and fix this. And yeah. And thank you to the great state of Texas for
Right.
being the starting point and for allocating funds to this. So you guys, have always been such a great example. And here, once again, we're looking to you guys again. So we're boots on the ground here. And the best way you can help is if you want to help a first responder, the 343fund.org, donate now. Your donation is going to
people like
Nate Morgan's,
Yeah.
somebody just like Nate Morgan's. And if you want to help on a larger level, if you want to help the movement, then you can donate to Americans for Ibogaine and for their cause, because they're the ones that are going state to state and getting
Right.
all of this going. So we have a real good chance if we can get the unions to come along and help their people. They'll do anything to help their people with the FDNY, since people also the Center of Excellence, and everybody calls it the farm. I don't know if that's still but instead of like shipping people off to a farm multiple times,
Right, for
maybe
70
let's try
grand a
something
pop.
cheaper that seems to be working better.
Right.
So
I agree completely.
until then, I'll be with my face in a microphone telling the world about it. And I know
Well,
this
and for
canary will
those-
too.
And for those who don't realize the snowball effect this will have, start with saving the savers. Because we have access to that right now. I would love to say that the Texas Ibogaine Initiative is going to kick off tomorrow and we'll have a clinic open, but we all know that nothing moves that quickly. But imagine what can happen. Every small child with a traumatic brain injury who's literally incapacitated because of it could be healed, because we could do the research and figure out how to encapsulate it in a way where they can take it and manage it. Obviously, we're not going to send a 7-year-old today probably to Ambio, but if we can continue to do the research, that wasn't even available, correct? Until now we have, some of this being approved here in Texas.
Now we say we're going to look,
Yeah.
and I mean, and that's a start.
Right.
We're a lot further today than we've ever been. So I thank God for that. And I'm grateful for that. And I look forward to the momentum that's going to
Same.
come from it.
Well, and I'm excited for tomorrow night. I'm excited to raise some money for you guys for the
that'd be fun.
343 fund. And Nate, kudos to you for being,
Thank you.
this kind of someone who can stand up and say, hey, this was my life and it doesn't have to be your life anymore either. So, and helping those guys out, because I think anyone that, when you think of the heroes, the savers, it's hard for them to stand up and say something's wrong, because they're the ones always fixing, right? So I think you are a very important person. You do have a purpose. All those days were not wasted.
No.
And so I appreciate you being here and telling your story so the world can kind of see the difference it can make in someone who already was seen as a saver. So let's keep working on saving the savers. Go to the 343fund.org.
Yep.
And donate. Check it out. Fill out your application if you're a saver who needs saving. And tomorrow night should be a good time.
Yeah. We'll see you all there. Thanks so much for having us on. Appreciate it.
Of course. Thanks,
Welcome
guys.
anytime.
Thanks for making the trip.